Hello everyone, today we will continue discussing requirement 1.5 of the CCIE Lab. This requirement is about OSPF. First, it asks us to ensure that OSPF is deployed between the headquarters area and the data center area. It specifies that non-SD-WAN devices should deploy the OSPF link. So, which devices are considered non-SD-WAN? In other words, only the A device, the edge node device, is an SD-WAN device. All the other devices are not, right? All of them need to be configured with OSPF, devices 23, 24, 21, and 22. All four of these switches need to have the OSPF link configured. So what about the headquarters area? In the headquarters area, except for this one, except for this access switch, all the other switches need to be configured with OSPF between them. Also, it explicitly states that within the HQ area, that is to say, in the central headquarters area, the crucial links between those four specific devices absolutely must have robust authentication mechanisms thoroughly enabled. For this essential authentication process, it specifically utilizes the well-known MD5 hashing algorithm, and the cryptographic key itself must be meticulously set up as a secure keychain, containing only a single unique key, correct? And the key is CCIE, that's CCE NF24. Note that the latter part is in lowercase, the beginning is uppercase, and there are two characters in the middle. Those characters are exclamation marks, not the letter I. This is done intentionally to make it more secure. In addition, there are several devices where certain interfaces do not need to be advertised. That is, the interface connecting to the ISP does not need to be advertised, and this interface also does not need to be advertised. Then for interfaces 21 and 22 below, these two interfaces also do not need to be advertised. Also, interfaces 10, 11, and 12 are the same. The interfaces connecting to the ISP do not need to be advertised, so this interface and this interface do not need to be advertised. So pay close attention to these connections. For SW102, it has three neighbors, and among them, these two neighbors require authentication. These two need to have authentication enabled. In addition, it also has another neighbor, which is SW22202, right? So that means SW101 also has three neighbors. One neighbor is, two of the neighbors are internal, and the internal ones require authentication. Then externally, there is another neighbor connected to SW101 in the DC area. And then, in addition, there is one last requirement, which is redistribution. We'll look at that in a moment. Let me mention it here. At this point, at 21, we use this BGP link. The BGP link is used to interconnect with the service provider, right? Its AS is 1000 and my own AS is 65002. So this route will be passed into BGP, that is into the BGP table of my AS 65002. Then I need to perform a redistribution from the BGP table, redistributing it into OSPF. This way, it can be propagated through the OSPF link within the DC area and also reach the HQ area. All right, that's absolutely everything for the current requirements. Let's go ahead and proceed with the configuration process. It's incredibly straightforward and very simple to complete. If you want to learn Cisco technologies or get access to Cisco question banks, feel free to send me a private message or leave a comment below the video to discuss technical topics. We'll start from SW101, okay, 101. Now for this, the internal interfaces need to have authentication enabled, right? Let's look at its OSPF. For OSPF, I already have three neighbor relationships established, but it's just that these two interfaces need to have authentication enabled. So for this configuration, we can configure these two interfaces together using the range command to do it at once. Remember, it's 001, and then use key 1, MD5 authentication, and the key is cc.nf24. Make sure you enter this key correctly, ccnf24. It says here that I've already configured it, so this interface should already be set up. Earlier, when I was explaining to other students, I already configured it. Let's take a look at its configuration. Remember 00? Remember the 00 interface? You see, I've already configured these two lines. Now let's look at the 01 interface. The 01 interface has also been configured. All right, both of these have been configured. So for the SW102 switch on the right, its configuration is exactly the same. You just need to copy this over. Just copy these two lines over. Let's take a more detailed look at the interface configuration. For the Gigabit Ethernet 00 interface, we have these two specific lines of configuration, and for the Gigabit Ethernet 01 interface, it's also these two identical lines of configuration. Earlier, I had already thoroughly demonstrated this particular process and concept when I was explaining it to other students, providing them with a comprehensive understanding. Consequently, I have already meticulously configured these two specific lines of code or settings within the system. Once these configurations are successfully completed and properly set up, they are designed to automatically and seamlessly appear here in the designated interface or display area without requiring any further manual intervention. Now, with everything in place, let's proceed directly to examine and verify the neighbor relationship, which is a crucial step to ensure proper connectivity and functionality within the network or system. Alright, let's directly check its neighbor relationship, OSPF neighbor table, and there are 3 neighbors, right? All 3 neighbors are up and running as expected. Next, let's check the OSPF neighbor table on device 2. All the neighbor relationships are up as well. Now, these are the configurations for SB101 and SB102. Next, let's take a look at this. As for 21, I've actually already configured 21, but I'll run the commands again so you can take a look. The configurations for 21 and 22 are relatively simple. First, there are also 3 interfaces here. My internal 3 interfaces all need to enable authentication. My internal 00, that is from 01 to 03, all 3 interfaces need to have authentication enabled, right? I need to enable authentication between 21 and 22, as well as between SW101 and SW102. The configuration for 12 is exactly the same as this one. Let me go ahead and paste it right here. Right, it's also these 4 essential configuration commands, which are very simple to implement. Alright, now let's proceed to look at their neighbor relationships in detail. Right? 3 neighbor relationships, and the rest is just the DC area. In this DC area, only 21. 21's configuration is a bit more complicated. For 21, we need to do a redistribution, right? So it has one extra configuration command. The initial steps are consistent and straightforward. First, you need to access and enter the designated interface. Subsequently, it is essential to announce the OSPF protocol. Following this announcement, the next crucial action is to proceed with entering the specific OSPF area, which is vital for establishing proper routing. Then perform the redistribution here. I will redistribute my own BGP autonomous system 65002 into OSPF, specifically redistributing the routes of autonomous system 65002 into OSPF, and that's essentially it. As for the remaining 22, 23, and 24, you just need to announce the interfaces. Just announcing the interfaces is enough. Alright, it's the same for 23 as well. Okay, I copied it twice, just announcing the interfaces. These 2 commands are enough. And it's the same for 24 as well. Note that the interface numbers are different. The interface numbers are different. We just need to make sure not to announce the interface connected to the carrier. All other interfaces, including the loopback 0 interface, should be announced. Alright, with this, the configuration is complete. After finishing the configuration, let's take a look at the neighbor relationships. Right? And the neighbor relationships are all normal. That is, I've announced these 2 interfaces, which are my internal ones. For example, for this interface 24, I didn't announce the upper interface and the lower interface is connected to the SD1 network. We can't see that one. So basically, we've only announced these 2 interfaces, right? It's just for communication between these 2 devices, SW201 and SW202. All right, so with that, the configuration is done. As for the switches in the middle, they've actually been pre-configured so we can directly check their neighbor relationships. The neighbor relationships are quite complex. There are quite a few OSPF neighbors and they're all already in the full state. I've also meticulously copied down the comprehensive information pertaining to SW202. Furthermore, I have diligently noted the details for SW203. My apologies, not SW203, but rather SW211, which is specifically designated as a crucial DNCP server, responsible for dynamic host configuration protocol services within the network. Alright, so with that, we've actually completed requirement 1.5. If you'd like to learn more about CCIE Lab materials, feel free to message me privately or leave a comment below the video.